You're kidnapping me. The words ricocheted off the fog bus windows, slicing through the Friday rush hour din like a siren. For a split second, every conversation on Route 5 died. Even the digital route display above my head seemed to flicker in disbelief. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, feeling the sweat slick beneath my palms despite the supposedly cool blast of the bus's aging air conditioner. Downtown Columbus, 5 p.m., July 11th, 2025. Traffic was a slow-motion nightmare, horns blaring outside, the bus jam-packed with commuters desperate to get home. The scent of Karen Mitchell's overpowering perfume mingled with the humid air, making the space feel even tighter. Karen front row, loud floral dress, sunglasses perched like a crown, clutching her leather purse as if it were a life raft, stood up, her voice rising above the engine's hum. She glared at me, her posture as rigid as the Code of Rules of Conduct sign posted beside my seat. "You can't trap me here. This is kidnapping," she shouted again, her voice trembling with outrage. A ripple of shock ran through the passengers. Bill, the retiree with thick glasses, lowered his newspaper, mouth agape. Lisa, a college student, shrank into her seat, clutching her backpack tighter. The security cameras blinked silently, recording every second. I took a steadying breath. 20 years behind the wheel, and I'd never been accused of a felony for following traffic rules. "Ma'am, I'm following code of policy," I said, keeping my tone calm but firm. "Broad Street is a no-stop zone right now due to construction. I'll circle back after the next stop." Karen's sunglasses slipped down her nose as she jabbed a finger in my direction. "You're holding me against my will." A murmur swept through the bus, some passengers annoyed, others amused, a few already pulling out their phones. The brakes squeaked as I eased the bus forward, the city crawling past outside. My badge caught the light, a reminder of the responsibility pinned to my chest. "Please, for your safety and everyone else's, take your seat," I said, trying to project authority over the rising tension. Karen huffed, but didn't budge. Her purse thumped against the seat, her perfume thick in the air. Bill shook his head, muttering, "Unbelievable." The digital display beeped softly, as if underscoring the absurdity of it all. I glanced up at the security camera, silently grateful it was recording. "Folks," I announced, "we'll be at Broad Street soon. Thank you for your patience." But patience was in short supply. Karen's eyes darted around, searching for allies. The rest of the bus, however, seemed to have made up its mind. This was not the drama they'd signed up for after a long work week. As the bus lurched forward, I braced myself. This wasn't just another day on Route 5. Today, the real traffic jam was inside the bus, and I was about to find out just how far a single accusation could go. Karen's screams grew louder, but her next accusation turned even more heads. She planted herself in the aisle, face flushed, sunglasses slipping down her nose. "You're violating my rights as a taxpayer," she shouted, voice echoing off the metal ceiling. Without waiting for my response, she yanked her phone from her purse and pointed it at me, thumb jabbing at the screen. "You're holding us all hostage. Everyone, you're seeing this, right?" The phone's camera lens glinted in the fluorescent light, catching the anxious face of Lisa, a college student in the front row. Lisa shrank back, clutching her backpack tighter, her thumbs flying over her own phone as she texted a friend, "You won't believe what's happening on my bus right now." I kept my eyes on the road, jaw set, hands steady on the wheel. The bus's air conditioning rattled, barely cutting through the sticky July heat. Outside, horns blared as traffic inched forward. Inside, the tension was thick enough to taste. "Ma'am," I said, voice calm but carrying through the bus, "for your safety and everyone else's, I have to follow code of policy. Broad Street is a no-stop zone due to construction. We'll be there in 5 minutes." Karen ignored me, waving her phone like a badge of authority. She turned it to the passengers, panting across their faces. "This man is keeping us prisoner. He refuses to let us off. I'm going live, someone call the police." Bill, the retiree, shook his head and leaned toward the nurse beside him. "She's making this worse for everyone," he whispered, loud enough for a few nearby to hear. Sarah, the nurse, nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. I reached for the intercom, pressing the button with my thumb. "Attention, everyone," I said, my voice echoing from the speakers. "We'll reach Broad Street shortly. Thank you for your patience. Please remain seated for your safety." Most passengers murmured in agreement, some rolling their eyes, others stifling laughs. Lisa kept her head down, texting furiously. A few commuters glanced at Karen, then quickly looked away, not wanting to get involved. The digital route display beeped, announcing the next stop. Karen turned her phone back to me, zooming in on my badge. "You're a criminal. I'm reporting you to CODA and the police," she barked, her voice rising to a fever pitch. I met her gaze in the mirror. "Ma'am, I'm doing my job. Please sit down for your safety." But Karen was undeterred, her sense of outrage growing with every second. She paced the narrow aisle, floral dress swishing, sunglasses now askew. The phone shook in her hand as she tried to capture every angle of her ordeal. Behind me, I heard the radio crackle. Tom, my supervisor at the depot, was monitoring the situation. "Mike, do you need assistance?" His voice came through, calm and steady. "Just a heads up, Tom," I replied quietly. "We've got a situation with a disruptive passenger. I'll keep you posted." The bus lurched forward, brakes squeaking as I navigated the gridlock. Karen's phone continued to record, but instead of rallying support, her antics were drawing sighs and eye rolls. Sarah muttered, "She's just making it worse." The air inside the bus was electric with tension, the hum of the engine and the rattle of the AC the only constants. I kept my focus on the road, determined to get everyone to their stop safely and by the book. If you've ever witnessed a meltdown like this on your commute, drop your story in the comments below. As Karen's video streamed live, she failed to notice that the only thing she was capturing was her own unraveling composure and a bus full of people who just wanted to get home. Karen thought she'd spark a revolt, but the passengers had other plans. Still brandishing her phone, Karen spun around to face the crowded bus, her floral dress swishing as she paced the narrow aisle. "You don't have to take this," she declared, voice hoarse with indignation. "He's trapping us all. Stand up for your rights, don't let him get away with this." She looked from face to face, seeking support. Most passengers, though, kept their eyes glued to their phones or stared resolutely out the fog windows. Lisa, the college student, shrank further into her seat, pulling her backpack close. Bill, glasses perched on his nose, finally snapped. "You're the only one causing trouble here," he said, voice steady but sharp. Karen ignored him, waving her phone higher. "You're all enabling him. This is how they get away with it because people like you stay silent." She zoomed in on my badge, narrating for her live stream. "Look at this, CODA lets their drivers kidnap passengers and nobody cares." I glanced at the rearview mirror, catching the exasperated faces behind me. Over the intercom, I announced, "We're approaching Broad Street. Miss Mitchell, please prepare to exit. Security will be waiting at the stop if you require further assistance." My voice crackled through the speakers, calm and professional, though my pulse thudded in my ears. As the bus swayed through a turn, Karen nearly tripped over Lisa's backpack, her purse thumping against a seat. Sarah, the nurse, spoke up. "He's got traffic to deal with, ma'am. Let the man do his job." A ripple of agreement ran through the bus, eye rolls, muttered comments, a few stifled laughs. Lisa, emboldened by the support, discreetly started filming Karen with her own phone, fingers flying as she texted the video to her friends, You have to see this hashtag bus Karen in action. Karen's frustration boiled over. You're all sheep, she shouted, voice cracking. I'm calling Coda and demanding they fire him immediately. She jabbed at her phone, but the only response was a chorus of sighs and the faint beep of the route display. Bill shook his head. Sit down, lady. You're embarrassing yourself, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I radioed Tom at the depot, my voice low but steady. Tom, can you have security meet us at Broad Street? We have a disruptive passenger refusing to comply. Copy that, Mike. Security will be waiting, Tom replied, his voice a welcome anchor. The tension in the bus shifted. Karen's attempt to rally the crowd had failed. Instead of a mutiny, she faced a wall of indifference and thinly veiled annoyance. She clung to her phone, eyes darting between passengers, desperate for validation that never came. As the bus rolled toward Broad Street, Karen's rant crumbled. But her final stunt was yet to come, and it would bring the entire bus to a halt. When Karen grabbed the emergency lever, the bus became her stage and our chaos. We were less than a block from Broad Street, the tension in the air so thick you could almost taste it. Karen, red-faced and trembling with frustration after her failed attempt to rally the other passengers, suddenly lunged toward the front of the bus. Her floral dress billowed as she pushed past Bill, nearly knocking his phone from his hands. Before I could react, she reached for the bright red emergency brake lever mounted just behind my seat. With a furious yank, she pulled it down. Instantly, the bus jolted to a violent stop. Passengers lurched forward. Lisa's backpack skidded across the aisle, and Karen's own purse tumbled under a seat. The screech of the brakes echoed through the bus, followed by a stunned silence and then a chorus of angry voices. Karen stood, breathless and triumphant, at the front of the bus. Nobody moves until I get justice, she declared, waving her phone in the air like a victory flag. Her sunglasses, knocked askew in the commotion, slid off her head and clattered to the floor forgotten. I kept my hands steady on the wheel, fighting back a surge of adrenaline. Ma'am, you've just endangered everyone on this bus, I said, my voice sharp but controlled. Pulling the emergency brake without cause is a serious violation of CODA policy and state law. Bill, now filming openly, narrated for his phone. She's lost it. Pulled the emergency brake. Unbelievable. Sarah, ever the helper, knelt to retrieve Lisa's backpack, shooting Karen a look of pure disbelief. Over the radio, Tom's voice crackled through. Mike, what's your status? I pressed the button, keeping my tone professional. Tom, passenger pulled the emergency brake. Requesting immediate police assistance at Broad Street. Passengers are safe, but we need help. The bus was a cacophony of outrage now. Several commuters banged on their seats, demanding Karen be removed. Kick her off, someone yelled from the back. We just want to get home, another added, exasperated. Karen, undeterred, snatched her purse from under the seat and spun on me. You forced me to do this. You're endangering lives by refusing to stop. I'm going to sue CODA for every penny. I met her gaze, unwavering. Ma'am, please step back. You've put everyone at risk. The authorities will handle this from here. Her voice rose, shrill and desperate. You're all witnesses. He's the criminal, not me. But the only response was a wall of angry, exhausted faces and Bill's phone, catching every second for the world to see. The bus interior was chaos. The sharp scent of brakes, the metallic clink of Karen's purse zipper as she rummaged for her phone, the echo of raised voices bouncing off the windows. My badge felt heavy on my chest, a reminder of the responsibility I carried for every soul on board. Tom's voice returned, steady and reassuring. Mike, police are on their way. Hold position. You did the right thing. I nodded, more to myself than anyone else. "Folks, please remain seated," I announced over the intercom. "Help is coming. Thank you for your patience." As we waited for the flashing lights of justice, Karen's chaos had finally brought the bus to a standstill, but it was clear her reign was over. The next stop wasn't just Broad Street. It was accountability. As the bus sat frozen at Broad Street, the wail of sirens cut through the stifling air. 2 Columbus police officers strode up, greeted by a chorus of relieved cheers and a few scattered claps from the passengers. I exhaled, my grip loosening on the steering wheel for the first time in what felt like hours. The officers boarded with practiced calm, scanning the tense faces before zeroing in on Karen still clutching her purse, her phone now shaking in her hand. Her sunglasses lay abandoned on the floor, forgotten in the chaos she created. "Ma'am, we need you to step off the bus," the taller officer said, his voice firm but even. Karen drew herself up, voice trembling with outrage. "I'm the victim here. This man kidnapped me and endangered everyone. I demand you arrest him." I pointed to the security camera and the emergency brake lever, still locked in its down position. "Officers, she pulled the emergency brake without cause, putting everyone at risk. The whole incident is on camera, passengers can confirm." Lisa, the college student, quickly offered her phone. "I have video too," she said, showing the officers the footage of Karen's tirade. Bill, glasses askew, chimed in. "She's been yelling and threatening since we missed her stop. She's the only one causing trouble." The officers watched a few seconds of Lisa's video, then nodded. "Ma'am, you're being charged with disorderly conduct and misuse of safety equipment under Ohio law," the officer announced, referencing Ohio Revised Code Section 2917.11. "That's a misdemeanor up to $500 fine or 30 days in jail." Karen's face blanched. "You can't do this. I'm going to sue all of you. I have rights." She tried to push past the officers, but her purse slipped from her shoulder and her phone clattered to the floor. Sarah, the nurse, scooped it up and handed it to the police. The officers gently but firmly took Karen by the arms and snapped on the handcuffs. The metallic click echoed through the bus, followed by a wave of applause and a few shouts of "Good riddance" from the back. As the officers led Karen off the bus, her floral dress caught on a seat, tugging her back for a split second before she was ushered down the steps. Her sunglasses remained on the floor, soon collected by a CODA staffer who'd arrived with Tom, my supervisor. Bill's phone was still rolling, streaming the entire arrest live to X, where hashtags like #BusKaren and #COTA Kidnapping were already trending. Lisa texted her friends, her relief palpable. Sarah gave me a supportive nod as I straightened my uniform and turned to the intercom. "Thank you for your patience, everyone. We'll be back on our way in just a moment," I announced, voice steady but tinged with exhaustion. Tom stepped aboard, handing me a bottle of water and a reassuring smile. "You handled that by the book, Mike. Let's get these folks home." As the bus doors hissed shut and the engine rumbled back to life, I glanced in the mirror. The passengers looked tired, but the tension had lifted, replaced by a sense of solidarity, even triumph. The ride resumed, but the story was far from over. Karen's arrest was dramatic, but her downfall public, viral, and unforgettable was just beginning. Karen's kidnapping accusation didn't trap me, it set her up for a public fall. A few weeks after that unforgettable Friday, word spread that Karen Mitchell had pled guilty to disorderly conduct in municipal court. The judge, unimpressed by her viral theatrics, handed down a $500 fine and sentenced her to 50 hours of community service cleaning bus stops for COTA, no less. The irony wasn't lost on anyone who had seen the video. COTA's official statement cited a strict ban on Karen for violating passenger conduct rules, effective immediately. Her purse and phone were returned by the police, and her infamous oversized sunglasses arrived by mail, boxed up with a note. Property of Coda. Meanwhile, Bill's video exploded online. His ex-post racked up 75,000 views in just days, with hashtags like #BusKaren and #COTA Kidnapping trending across social media. The comments section became a running joke, with memes mocking Karen's kidnapping claim and stories from other writers about their own bus drama. Local news outlets picked up the story, praising my calm under pressure and highlighting the importance of respect for public service workers. Even Reddits or entitled people joined in, sharing clips and debating the wildest commuter meltdowns. Karen, once a respected office manager, found herself at the center of workplace gossip. Her employer, embarrassed by the attention, quietly passed her over for a long-anticipated promotion. The fallout was swift and public. Her tantrum had cost her more than a missed stop. But the community came together in ways I never expected. Passengers sent thank you notes to Coda, and ridership on Route 5 even ticked up. The agency launched a Support Our Drivers campaign, and I was honored at a small ceremony in the Coda office. Lisa and Sarah, the college student and the nurse, attended, sharing their stories of kindness and resilience on the bus. The applause was warm and genuine, echoing through the room as my badge gleamed under the stage lights. I took a moment to reflect on what the ordeal meant. Public transit isn't just about getting from point A to point B, it's about patience, empathy, and the small acts of respect that keep a city moving. I remembered a time years ago when I'd helped a lost passenger find her way home. That's the part of the job that matters most. Service, not just steering. In the end, Karen's tantrum didn't derail our journey. It reminded us why every stop and every act of kindness matters. On a bus where every stop counts, one Karen's outburst only strengthened our ride together.